Hello everybody, hope you're doing well today. We recently took a 4-day trip to visit Death Valley National Park, driving over 600 miles from each end of the park to visit some of the must-have spots to see. We're going to be hiking around giant craters, to walking through a rare lake that forms only a couple times a decade, to chasing rocks that move on their own in the dirt. Come join us as we tour you around the hottest place on earth, Death Valley National Park. Before starting out on our Death Valley adventure, I want to mention that we have several dedicated hiking guides to awesome locations in Death Valley. They will help guide you with step-by-step directions and hiking information, so be sure to hit that subscribe button and check out our other guide videos. Death Valley National Park is located in Mostly, California. Death Valley is a desert landscape of countless natural wonders. The park is the largest national park in the lower 48 states, and with over 3.4 million acres to explore. No matter what floats your boat with outdoor adventures, there's a little bit of fun for everyone in Death Valley. On day 1, we drove about 6 hours from Arizona, so we didn't get to the park until 5 p.m., but that didn't stop us from getting in a sunset hike. The first must-have place to visit is Zabriskie Point, where we hiked to the top of Manly Beacon. Manly Beacon is located near Zabriskie Point, which is an awesome location to watch sunrises and sunsets. It's on the east side of Death Valley National Park, noted for its erosional landscape. It is composed of sediments from Furnace Creek Lake, which dried up 5 million years ago.
We just got to Death Valley today.
We're at Zabriskie Point.
And we're gonna go hike up to the Manly Beacon.
It's right there, folks. It's gonna be so fun.
Millions of years prior to the actual sinking and widening of Death Valley, the existence of Lake Manly, another lake, covered a large portion of Death Valley, including the area around Zabriskie Point. This ancient lake began forming approximately 9 million years ago. During several million years of the lake's existence, sediments were collecting at the bottom in the form of saline muds, gravels from nearby mountains, and ashfalls from the then active Black Mountain volcanic field. These sediments combined to form what we today call the Furnace Creek Formation. Subsequent widening and sinking of Death Valley and the additional uplift of today's Black Mountains tilted the area, providing the necessary relief to accomplish the erosion that produced the badlands we see today.
It's right there. We have to climb up one of these steep mountains right here, which should be like the really fun part.
Enjoy, guys, from your couch or wherever you're at. A nice, comfortable home while we trek and sweat for your pleasure.
This is what we do for fun, folks. This is what we do for fun.
The dark colored material capping the Badland ridges is lava from eruptions that occurred 3 to 5 million years ago. This hard lava cap has eroded in many places and possibly explains why Manly Beacon is much higher than the other portion of the Badlands.
So we're right here at the kind of bottom of the Manly Beacon. So we just have this kind of sketchy last uphill stretch to Manly Beacon. Slightly nervous. There's this boulder area right here. I don't know about that one. It looks kind of sketchy. Kind of scary. That was kind of scary, but we made it on top of Manly Beacon. Manly Beacon. There are drops on each side of the Manly Beacon. So you have to be very careful of your stepping. But look at this view of Death Valley. That was definitely worth it, for sure. Now I have to go down, which is even more sketchier, because it's like a loose gravel and it's kind of muddy at some spots. Nice and slowly. Nice and slowly. Oh, I'm nervous. I gotta go down right here, go there, go down these 2 little declines, and then hop back to where we were. And go enjoy sunset with Cassandra. Wow. I never would have used that again. That was a scary decline. I'm sweating so bad. Never doing that. Ever. But
What was it worth?
that was a sketchy downhill.
I'm glad I didn't do that.
Just got done enjoying the sunset near Manly Beacon.
Okay. Now we have to walk back in the dark, so hopefully it's not too sketchy.
We finally made it back to our hotel. We stayed inside the park at the ranch at Death Valley and Furnace Creek and would 100% recommend staying at this hotel. On day 2, we drove a little over an hour from our hotel and arrived around 9 in the morning at our second must-see location on our list, the Ubehebe Crater.
Hi, we're at Ubehebe Crater Trail
in Death Valley National Park.
Yes, look at that. Gonna be exciting.
Come join.
Come join us.
Ubehebe Crater is located in the northern part of the park and is an excellent place to explore the power of Mar volcanoes. Ubehebe Crater is a large volcanic crater 600 feet deep and a half-mile across. The age of the crater is estimated to be around 2,000 to 7,000 years old. Walking to the bottom of the main crater is easy, however, the trip back up can be exhausting. Walking around the rim is moderately difficult due to the initial climb and loose footing. The walk around the rim of the crater is about 1.5 miles round trip and almost 400 feet of elevation gain. This route leads past several smaller craters, including Little Hebe. The crater was formed when magma migrated close to the surface, and the heat of the magma caused groundwater to flash into steam, throwing large quantities of pulverized old rock and new magma across the stony alluvial fan draped across the valley floor. Cinders from these explosions cover much of the surrounding area. The material is very evident as you drive up the hill to the parking area. Some cinders can even be seen on the dry bed of ancient Lake Rogers on the valley floor north of the craters.
We're coming up to the top of the crater at about 2,700 feet. We just hiked about 300 feet in elevation from the teeny tiny parking lot right around there.
Geologists call the resulting large steam explosions hydrovolcanic, and the pits created are known as Mars. Ubehebe was the last and largest in the series of similar eruptions in the immediate area. Early eruptions created a group of smaller Mars on the south and another on the west. Little Hebe is a spatter cone that grew in the middle of one of the largest Mars in the south group. The only significant deposit of lava in the volcanic field is contained in Little Hebe.
Death Valley.
We absolutely love this hike. The whole hike around the crater took us about an hour to complete, including a couple stops to enjoy the view. After hiking Ubehebe Crater, we adventured 30 miles on our dirt road to our third place on our list called RaceTrack Playa. Death Valley is filled with unusual spots to visit, and the RaceTrack Playa might be one of the most bizarre. This is the place to see those mysterious sailing stones, the large rocks that somehow glide over this dry, muddy surface, leaving imprinted trails behind them.
We're out here in the middle of nowhere.
Yes, just us two. How romantic.
In Death Valley National Park.
Now we're going to this place called RaceTrack.
RaceTrack Playa. There's a 30-mile dirt road to get there that you need a high clearance vehicle, hence the Raptor.
So folks, we're going to air out these tires because we got a bumpy road ahead. Ready?
We're all aired down, so let's get on the road.
Get on the road. Let's head to the next destination.
RaceTrack Playa is located in a remote area of Death Valley. From the Furnace Creek Visitor Center, it is an 83-mile drive to get there. 27 of these miles are on a rough, unpaved road. RaceTrack Valley Road is a very rough road. It is covered with gravel and sharp rocks. These rocks are notorious for causing flat tires. Expect to have a slow, bumpy ride that can take between 2 to 3 hours one way. In order to do this drive, you absolutely must have a vehicle with high clearance. The National Park Service highly recommends having a 4x4 vehicle. The biggest dangers on this road are the sharp rocks that cover it, the washboarding, and the narrow width of the road. These factors can cause flat tires and damage your vehicle.
We got 6 more miles to the racetrack. Somewhere over there.
After riding on the dirt road for almost 2 hours, we stopped and cooked up some grub before venturing onto the racetrack.
Are they scrambled? Scrambled eggs.
Now I got the ham going and the bagels. I'm making like a ham egg omelet on a blueberry bagel.
Are you chefing it out here? Oh. Delicious.
Bon appetit. Hot meal in the middle of nowhere.
After breakfast, we hiked up to the grandstand, which is a large, dark, rocky outcropping in the middle of the north side of the playa. It's fun to climb if you want to get a view over the whole area and really fun for kids to explore.
We're at the racetrack, guys, where the rocks move on their own. Oh. And then that is the grandstand over there. We're gonna go hike it.
The RaceTrack Playa is a large dry lake bed. It is around 3 miles long from north to south and 2 miles wide from east to west. It is extremely flat from the northern edge, only being 1.5 inches higher than the southern end.
Made it.
Top of the grandstand.
On top of the grandstand.
Expect to spend about 1 to 2 hours at the minimum at RaceTrack Playa. The entire excursion of the whole day could take up to 8 to 10 hours. The dry surface is covered with dried mud hexagons, which gives the playa its unique appearance. When it is dry, the surface is very hard, and when you walk on it, you leave no footprints behind. However, during the brief periods where the playa is wet, in summer and winter months, walking on the wet surface creates unsightly, muddy footprints that can take years to erase. We didn't find any sailing stones on the north side of the playa, so we hopped in the truck to explore the southernmost part of the playa.
We have our first track.
Right here, folks. We found our first one. It only took us a couple hours.
Look at that track right there.
Perfection.
Perfect. We found more rocks, folks, with trails
Out here in the
to these
wild.
fine-looking rocks of Death Valley. These fine-looking rocks.
Gorgeous. Top tier.
Let's keep on moving.
Look, folks. There's more. All the way over there. Come on, let's go. We made it, folks. Our friend Bob.
The rare combination of rain and wind conditions enable the rocks to move. A rain of about ½ an inch will wet the surface of the playa, providing a firm but extremely slippery surface. Strong winds of 50 miles per hour or more may skid the large boulders along the slick mud. This shows the moving of the rocks requires a rare combination of events. First, the playa fills with rainwater, which must be deep enough to allow formation of floating ice during cold winter nights, but shallow enough to expose the rocks. At nighttime, temperatures plummet. The pond freezes to form sheets of ice, which must be thin enough to move freely but thick enough to maintain strength. On sunny days, the ice begins to melt and break up into large floating panels, which light winds drive across the playa pool. The ice sheets shove rocks in front of them, and the moving stones leave trails in the soft mud bed below the pool surface. The rocks move under light winds of about 3 to 5 meters per second, which is 10 miles an hour, and were driven by ice less than 5 millimeters thick. Too thin to grip large rocks and lift them off the playa, which is proposed as a mechanism to reduce friction. RaceTrack Playa stones only move once every 2 or 3 years. Rocks with rough bottoms leave straight tracks, while those with smooth bottoms wander. Driving on it or anywhere off established roads is prohibited. Do not move or remove any of the rocks. When the playa is wet, avoid walking in muddy areas and leaving ugly footprints.
We just got done looking at the rocks at RaceTrack Playa.
We found a ton.
Had to hike a mile to the other side of the little valley area.
And I'm ready to go back and eat some grub.
Boy, was it amazing rocks that moved
We really so
here.
yeah. Every year a rock moves out here.
Now we're gonna have fettuccine alfredo that we made prior that we're gonna cook up. So
We're gonna enjoy the sunset.
top meal, 60 miles from the nearest paved road.
And it's pasta. Right out in the boondocks. Yum, yum, yum. Nothing like this. Pasta out here in the desert.
Do not attempt a trip to the racetrack without plenty of fuel and water. There is no cell phone service in the area. Be prepared for the possibility of spending the night if your vehicle becomes disabled. After getting back to our hotel pretty late, we were excited to get some rest for day number 3. Starting out day number 3 in Death Valley, we went for a sunrise hike at Sidewinder Canyon, which is number 4 on our must-have place to visit in Death Valley.
We're here at Death Valley National Park,
At the Sidewinder Slot Canyon.
and we're gonna hike 4 miles up into this really cool slot canyon. We have to park in this middle of nowhere parking lot.
It's gonna be a fun morning of hiking.
So come along.
Come along and enjoy.
Sidewinder Canyon is located on Badwater Road about 20 minutes south of Badwater Basin. There are many slot canyons on either side of the main canyon that you hike on, so be sure to spend a couple minutes exploring what each has to offer.
We have to hike up this giant canyon, and it'll slowly get smaller and smaller and smaller to a tiny slot canyon.
Once we enter the canyon, the trail keeps gaining in elevation. The wash is sandy and gravelly, so it took us a little bit more effort to walk, especially uphill. If you're doing this hike, make sure to go early in the morning and when it's cooler.
In one of the slot canyons.
On the side of the main trail.
It is so pretty.
It is gorgeous. You can see above us.
Sidewinder Canyon is both physically and mentally a very demanding hike. Climbing over vertical ledges over 6 feet high and squeezing or crawling into tight spaces 1.5 feet wide is required. Some of the climbs can be a bit sketchy, but if you double check your handholds and footholds and go slow, you should be able to climb most of the obstacles. Be careful once you're on your way down after reaching the end of the slot canyon. The climb down is always more challenging than the climb up. You can always send your best climber down first so they can help to point where you can put your hands and feet. If you plan on doing this hike, make sure to go early in the morning and when it's cooler. There is no shade until you get into the slots. We did this hike around 8 a.m., but yet it was quite brutal hiking up the gravel wash. After adventuring the slot canyons, we hop back on the main trail and hike to the end. You can go as far as you are comfortable with. We went the full 2 miles to the end of the trail, but we'd recommend not to go so far and explore the closer slot canyons to the trailhead. The Sidewinder slot canyons were challenging to maneuver, but that's one of the main reasons why we had a blast. Most of the time we were by ourselves, so I recommend this hike if you want a more secluded hike from others, then this is the one to do.
Oh, we made it out of the slot canyon.
Sidewinder slot canyon.
Sidewinder slot canyon. On to the next.
And on to the next. We hiked about 5 miles.
Yeah, and I feel it in my feet and my legs.
And it was like 1,000 plus feet elevation gain. We got up there pretty high.
Then we saw some really cool little slot canyons.
We definitely hiked up an appetite at Sidewinder, so we stopped on the side of the road and cooked breakfast before hitting up the next adventure.
We got some brats on the menu.
Oh yeah, look at these beauties. It's gonna be so good after that long hike.
Brats and some scrambled eggs.
That's what the cook ordered.
Out here in where?
Middle of the boondocks. Look at that view, guys. This view and that view.
Bon appetit.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's so good.
good.
After our delightful breakfast, we drove right down the highway to our number 5 spot, which is known for being the lowest point in the United States, called Badwater Basin.
Badwater Basin, 282 feet below sea level.
It was epic.
It was epic.
You need to come and enjoy Badwater
Basin.
Badwater Basin is located on the south side of Death Valley. It is famous for being the deepest sea level location in the United States at negative 282 feet below sea level. It is situated at the lowest part of the park and is remnant of the vast ancient lake that was once existed in this area. Badwater Basin Salt Flats is typically the driest place in North America, but after an unusual heavy storm, it turns into a massive lake. We were blessed to be able to see this rare lake at its peak.
We're at Badwater Basin,
We're just here taking a dip.
taking a dip in the water. It rains every once in a while here in Death Valley, so it's rare to have water here at this basin area.
Very nice on our feet though.
And we're below sea level.
Badwater Basin Salt Flats extend for miles in each direction, so be sure to walk a couple miles away from the crowds at the parking lot.
There's some water for miles. We're gonna go all the way to the end over there.
Lake Manly, a saltwater lake, is currently one of the most distinctive geological features in Death Valley National Park, last appearing in 2021 after Hurricane Hurry, or before that we have to go nearly back 2 decades to 2005 to when Lake Manly was last seen with water.
So much fun.
So much fun. It just keeps on taking us out to yonder.
This is what we do for fun.
This is what we do for fun. And it's so clear right here. What do you think?
That it feels amazing on my toes after hiking 5 miles.
I know, it does feel really good.
Once we were done walking the lake, we had to wipe off our salty feet, which were completely white due to the salt content in the water, which they say is 4 times saltier than the ocean. On our way back to the hotel, we stopped at our number 6 spot on our list, which is the Natural Bridge Canyon Trail.
Good morning.
We're here in Death Valley National Park.
We're going to be hiking Natural Bridges Canyon.
Turning off the main road, there is a 1.5 mile very smooth dirt ride road to get to the trailhead. You'll gain elevation on this road from a negative 200 feet to a positive 400 feet. Be sure to soak in the views of Death Valley once you arrive at the parking lot, since you will be around 600 feet higher than the valley below. From the parking area, it'll take about 10 to 15 minutes walking up a gentle but constant grade along the pebble floor to the Natural Bridge. The best time to explore Natural Bridge Canyon is based on what you'd like to see. If you're viewing the spectacular Panamint Range and telescope across Death Valley, you want to be there in the morning. If you want to see the incredible shades of evening light in the canyon, visit about an hour before sunset. The best time of year to explore Natural Bridge Canyon is mid-fall to mid-spring. Temperatures during the summer can easily soar into 130s, as the Natural Bridge Canyon area is only a few miles from Badwater Basin, which is the lowest point in the Western Hemisphere.
As you can see, we're almost to the bridge. That was a very easy hike.
An easy hike for us.
The bridge extends across the whole canyon and is quite impressive, though not as graceful as the smooth sandstone arches of Utah. The bridge is made of conglomerate and looks somewhat unstable from beneath, split by deep cracks running through the span. The bridge rises approximately 35 feet above the canyon floor and is about 35 feet thick. Although rain is infrequent in Death Valley, over thousands of years, flash flood events have carved the canyon which Natural Bridge spans today. At some point, the water changed course slightly and ran just north of the present location of the bridge. Look for this diversion as you hike. The diversion lowered the level of the canyon just above the location of the bridge. Eventually, the water returned to its initial straighter course, forming a hole under the span of the bridge and eventually lowering the floor of the canyon even more.
Sea Arch, we love you. You were great. Majestically beautiful.
Until next
Till
time.
next time.
Bye.
Bye.
We started off day 4 by taking a drive to Artis Palette, which is our number 7th place to visit in Death Valley.
Currently at Artistic Palette.
And it does look like an artist palette. There's so many colors.
There's an 8.8 mile loop drive around to this area and you park, and then there's some few small trails to hike here.
Oh, it's gonna be fun. We're gonna explore it a little bit and see what it has to offer.
Artis Drive is a total of almost 9 miles. This is a road you'll take to get to Artis Palette. The turnoff is located off of Badwater Road, north of Devil's Golf Course and south of Furnace Creek. The start of the drive is clearly marked and it will take you about 45 minutes depending on how long you want to stop and how fast people are driving in front of you. Artis Palette is about 5 miles from the start. The drive is pretty impressive the entire way, with lots of towering mountains that loom in front of you. The road is curvy and vehicles longer than 25 feet are not allowed to go on it. The drive also has a lot of dips, so it can be pretty fun. As you weave around the turns, you will see fantastic views into Death Valley west of you, and even the parts of the mountains without the color are impressive. After about 5 miles of driving, you will reach the most exciting part of the drive, which is Artis Palette. There's a small parking lot that will let you get out and walk down to where the colors start. There are many hills to explore at Artis Palette. Plan on spending 2 or 3 hours exploring. The palette reveals the volcanic forces which shaped the land. Once upon a time, over 500 million years ago, Death Valley was covered by warm, tropical seas. California had yet to join up with the rest of the continents, and the whole region lay further south along the equator. Time and continental drift marched on before a series of tectonic collisions and volcanic eruptions rocked the west coast, stretching and tearing and cooking the rocks. After 150 million years of chaos, things calmed down and the slowly steady erosion began. Several billion sunrises later, humans appeared on the scene, and for thousands of years, the Timbisha Shoshone people were the only witnesses to the hidden beauty of Death Valley and its silent, vibrant soils. The colors are produced by the oxidation of the metals and elements found in the ground here, and it produces everything from purple and blue to even slight green. Time here will fly by as you soak up the magnificent color palette and hike through the windy twists and bends of the hiking trails. Between the 9-mile scenic drive and the hike, this is definitely one to add to your Death Valley itinerary.
We just explored Artistic Palette.
We walked around for about a mile or two, and we're gonna head back to the parking lot and continue on our way up.
The back half of the scenic drive from Artist Palette was gorgeous. Right afterwards, we drove 45 minutes directly to the number 8 spot on our list, the Mesquite Flat Sand Dunes.
We're at the Mesquite Sand Dunes, right? We're gonna hike to this peak right here, and we're gonna get a view of all this sand dunes.
The Mesquite Flat Sand Dunes are located in central Death Valley, near Stovepipe Wells right off of Highway 190. These dunes have been made famous by sand dune scenes in several movies, including Star Wars. Be sure to take extra water and GPS along. There are no trails and one can get lost easily. There is an unmarked 2.3-mile trail gaining 154 feet in elevation.
We're going to that sand dune right there. The biggest one. Mesquite Sand Dunes is the easiest sand dune to get to. It's literally right off of the parking lot. There's a few other sand dunes, like the Eureka Sand Dunes, but that's far on a dirt road. And then there's the Panama Sand Dunes, which is like a 6-mile round trip hike. So the Mesquite is the easiest to get to.
In order to create sand dunes, there must be a source of sand, in this case the eroding mountains to the north, wind to move that sand, and a barrier to prevent the sand from being blown farther, the mountains to the south. The conditions at Mesquite Flat Sand Dunes are perfect for the creation of dunes, and while individual grains move and the ripples form, the dune field remains.
We're almost there. This is the final stretch. We just have to go up this little hill, hang a left, go up that line thing, and we're gonna be at the highest sand dune. Feel the burn back there.
Oh, am I feeling the burn?
Feel the burn, last stretch. I feel like I'm not getting any ground here. Stair stepper of sand. Cassandra ran that. I don't know how she could run that. I'm too old for that.
I expect you to run.
We are almost at the top of, and we did it. The highest sand dune at Mesquite Sand Dunes.
We did it.
The largest dune is called Star Dune, where the depth of the sand at its crest is 130 feet high. It is a fairly constant feature due to the habits of the wind. In addition to the star-shaped dunes, the field contains crescent and linear dunes as well. Polygon cracked clay of the ancient lakebed forms the floor. Plan to spend about 2 hours at the dunes hiking and exploring. You can even bring a sandboard or sled and have some high-speed fun on the dunes. Once we arrived back at the car and cleared out all the sand from our boots, we drove 1.5 hours directly to Trona Pinnacles, which is number 9 on our must-have places to see in Death Valley. The Trona Pinnacles is a unique geological feature located in the California desert. The Trona Pinnacles, at an elevation of 1,800 feet above sea level, is approximately 10 miles south of Trona, California. Death Valley is located 2 hours north of these pinnacles, so make sure to add this onto your places to visit when you're in Death Valley. The pinnacles are located within 3,800 acres of federal land managed by the Bureau of Land Management. The Trona Pinnacles are inside a BLM area of critical environmental concern designated to protect and preserve unique resources. The Trona Pinnacles were designated a natural landmark by the U.S. Department of Interior in 1968 to preserve one of North America's most outstanding examples of tufa tower formations. Rising from the bottom of what was once an ancient lakebed, the Trona Pinnacles represent one of the most unique geological landscapes in the California desert. Over 500 of these tufa, which is also called calcium carbonate, are spread over 14 square mile area across the Searless Lake Basin. During the Pleistocene period, massive runoff spilled from the Sierra Nevada into a chain of inland seas. The system of interconnected lakes stretched from Mono Lake to Death Valley and included Sears Lake. Deep beneath Sears Lake, calcium-rich groundwater and alkaline lake water combined to grow tufa formations. Similar modern formations can be found today at Mono Lake to the north. Known as tufa pinnacles, these strange shapes formed underwater between 10,000 to 100,000 years ago. At one point during the Pleistocene period, the area was under 640 feet of water. The pinnacles did not all form at the same time. They were divided by age and elevation into 3 groups. The groups are dubbed the northern, middle, and southern groups because they formed during 3 different ice ages. The northern group is the youngest at 11,000 to 25,000 years old. These are the best examples of what are known as tufa towers. The northern group also includes shapes called tombstones, ridges, and cones. The small middle group consists of about 100 spires, but boasts the tallest tower rising 140 feet. The southern group includes 200 tufa formations aged 32,000 to 100,000 years old.
Pasta, red pasta with meat. Perfect Valentine's dinner for 2. What was your favorite part about today, Boo?
Probably the Trona Pinnacles.
Trona Pinnacles?
This place is just like out of this world.
It is.
There's like dozens of pinnacles just everywhere.
And we get to enjoy it with some good food and good company.
We got a 1-course meal.
A 1-course meal.
Dispersed camping is permitted at Trona Pinnacles, and campers are encouraged to use existing campsites and fire rings and to pack out all trash. If you plan on having a campfire, bring your own firewood. Camping is limited to 14 days. The only development of any facilities is a vault-type toilet. There are no other services at the Pinnacles. In the summer, temperatures can reach up to 115 degrees, so the best time is between fall or spring. When the sun sets and the pink hues begin to streak across the horizon, you might just feel like you're on an alien planet. Meanwhile, the tufa towers will stand mighty, unchanging. Once underwater, these spires now reaching for the sky.
We just enjoyed the Trona Pinnacles for a couple hours.
Yeah, we even had some good dinner out here.
And now it's freezing, and we're gonna go back to Death Valley National Park.
We're gonna go back and get some good rest, and then on to tomorrow.
But gorgeous sunset. Took a few hours to drive out here, but you need to do this spot.
You need to do this spot. It is absolutely incredible. So you're gonna enjoy it. Put it on your bucket list.
Until next time.
Until next time, bye.
We hope you enjoyed our top 9 locations to see in Death Valley, and we'll add a couple of these locations to your list to visit. Thank you for watching. Please feel free to like and subscribe to see more weekly hiking videos.